A couple different things I wanted to just go over quickly, especially for those of you who are members. And I want to remember everything that I had intentions of. But by the way, Lyft down off earnings. Lyft was interesting because you had Uber, which had a really nice reaction to earnings. And it really, for Uber to do what it did off earnings, really had to, come in with a decent quarter because, had fire, tons of flow. But, a lot of the positive news was already factored in to Lyft. So, Lyft really had to knock the cover off the ball, to see any strong upside. But if you're interested in the name, it may be a candidate tomorrow if we see some flow. Lyft does catch sweeper activity. Because, it ran into the quarter. So this is just a little profit-taking sell on the news, probably because nothing special that they didn't expect off the earnings. All right. Let's talk about what we saw today. And obviously, the markets are strong. Every dip has been getting bought, right? The greater force at play that we've been talking about is the just central bank liquidity in general. Now you have China thrown in the kitchen sink. What they're going through with the coronavirus. That type of environment, you hear this a lot, for money into risk-on assets. Okay, that's the main takeaway when you hear about liquidity from central banks. Okay, it's almost even algos programmed. Okay, line right, positive ES or SPX, right? Negative headline, boom, without even thinking. And that's kind of like the process, or has been the process, post 2008 with central. Okay, we can't. I'm going to use the word again. I know a lot of you like it when I use it. That exogenous event that can this type of mentality out, right? But as you can see, even China being on lockdown, okay, the market's already just trying to factor that in without much of any weakness. We saw a little dip, and because liquidity is so flush out there, and the faucets are still running, gravitating to risk assets. Okay, so this is obviously, it's always tough to short. Much more difficult to short, right? This is talking about for a while. Okay, and to catch that potential move, there's a lot of risk. So we got to understand what we're trying to do. What we were trying to do, we're trying to stay tactical, because we know sentiment as a whole is closer to the bullish side, right? We're looking at it through a contrarian view, more to the bearish side. The book has been to remain tactical, right? Try to take advantage of dips and fades. That's where we want to be buyers, okay? And as opposed to what we were doing, mid to the end of last year, looking for that second leg or that follow through, that larger move, we want to play and remain quick, right? We want to play tactical. So that's been our playbook here in this environment. And when we have that approach, what we want to pay attention to for the most part, because we're playing the game that way, short term or tactical. Okay. And, we use an indicator. Those of you who are members, obviously, I got to keep remembering I'm not just talking to members here, but we saw yesterday, right, one of our key readings, short term, flashed a caution signal at the close, after the close yesterday. Okay. So I wrote a little quick write-up last night, just in this type of environment, right, where you have every dip getting bought, you have rotation at play, you have a million different factors holding up the overall indices, okay? The main takeaway is not to short, coming in short the S&P 500, even though it probably would have been, a nice move into the highs, but extremely difficult. All right, but the main takeaway for us, and I'm a couple of times throughout the day, you probably saw, was anything that's been overheated, right? Anything overextended that's created this sloppiness from bulls over the short term, right? And there's plenty of names out there. Just careful, right? I'm sure we all have chased names throughout this whole process. All right. So when we see tactical sentiment short flash a caution signal, we want to make sure we want to stay away from that stuff. Right? We want to stay away from that stuff because now all of a sudden the odds have gone up even more so of some sort of phase reversal or pullback. Okay? Because that's the takeaway from that, is that bulls in those names have gotten, they've been sloppy, right? These names go up every day. I mean, Microsoft was a good example. Okay, the stock was down today. You can't even make it out on the chart. All right, interesting. Niner yesterday. I didn't even see that. But this thing's been up 2 straight weeks, right? You could have thrown a dart up, down, sideways, crooked, and make money. And you get used to that for a bit, right? So that short-term tactical signal is just a reminder. Anything this, right? Especially when we're ripping out of the gates in a morning like today, be careful, okay? And that's the primary use. When we're in a range-bound market, before breaking out on the S&P 500 and the indices, right? Before we broke out, when we were range bound for like 2 years, okay, that sentiment signal could be a pretty decent short entry. But that's a whole nother can of worms right now, right? That's a whole different market. You're in a range, right? You're looking to sell the top of the range, buy towards the bottom of the range, right? As long as it plays out. We've broken out of that. And again, several reasons behind us breaking out of that, okay? And the Fed, the big and main reason for that. It becomes really difficult to try to short and take stuff like that off any sentiment signal in a bull market like we've experienced here, okay? You're better off, if you're going to look to short, better off waiting for that weakness, right? And then get in the middle of it and make some money on the short side. I don't want to talk about the short side anyway, but I'm just making the point. So that's generally our takeaway, our main takeaway from a signal. Okay, and I wanted to make sure that especially those of you who are members are aware of that. Okay, what I mean by that. Also, for those of you who maybe read that post that I posted late night or this morning. Let me just get it here. Hold on a second. You know what? I could do this. I just want to explain to you guys what I mean for future references, okay? Because these situations come about more very often, you would think. All right. So here was the playbook like last night when I wrote it. Okay. And what I was talking about was that even though short-term tactical sentiment, okay, was overheated, everything out there is not the same, right? Every name doesn't look like Microsoft. Okay. So you have to be aware of that. And if we see buying and strength come into the laggards, squeeze type names, okay, those are opportunities we want to be a part of. Okay, even with short-term sentiment on the hot side, okay, that doesn't mean that these names can't outperform and trade higher. And we saw a lot of them today, even as the market faded, right? A lot of reversals out there. These names remain strong, throughout the day. Okay. And it's just obvious. They look different, right? These names have been completely left behind. They've been, marching into FANG, Microsoft, buying these things every single day. Okay. These things reversed and some money came out of it and started to find all the other stuff that they left behind. All right. So I just wanted to go over exactly, what was in front of us coming into today and how things played out, because this is a type of market, unless something changes here over the short term, this is the type of market we're in right now. Okay. Rotation, dip buying galore. And we have to, constantly, we can't fall in love with the same groups, the same names for too long. It's kind of like we got to make our money, get the hell out, and keep our eyes open to where the money may be shifting, because that's where the next round of opportunity lies. And we saw today, like I give an example of today's top action. We had a quiet afternoon, extremely quiet, a lot of earnings flow. But throughout the morning, there was some legitimate action out there, right? Some legitimate buying. On top of the repeat names that we keep seeing get bought, there was some other interesting stuff. All right. Here's an energy name. Again, you don't have to buy energy. I don't blame you one bit. Trust me. Okay. But if you were looking to make a move into something energy related, you had the perfect flow to do so, in my opinion, right? MPC, aggressive activity throughout the day. If there's any, I hate to put the word good in front of any energy name, but the best energy name out there, in my opinion, okay, would be a name like MPC. All right. You had that Elliott crew in there. You got big money behind it. If they're going to buy a dip in any energy, it's likely going to be MPC. All right. And you can see, even as the market was weak today, it was strong throughout the day, right? It was a noticeable difference between this and or Amazon or all right. So that's a perfect segue to what we're looking for the rest of the week here, right? We want to allow some of the things that have been scorched to cool off, okay? If we see buying come in to some of these rotation type squeeze names, okay, that's where we want to play the same, remain tactical, at least I am. Like, for me, I am not trying right now to get behind anything in a serious way and give it a leash. Okay. I want to find action at a decent risk reward spot where I'm not necessarily chasing, or there's enough momentum where I think I could get in the middle, make some money and get the hell out and call it the day. Okay. Until there's a better setup. And then, they very well may be at some point. But right now, with money shifting around and rotating as it is, right, and headline risk out there and overextended, key names overextended out there, I just don't see the risk reward for that. Okay. Again, we see them come after these type of names, MPC, some of these commodity names, some of these economically sensitive type names. If they come after them aggressively, that could be that better setup. All right. But we want to see that, because we're confident about that. Remember, like going back to last year with the rotation, how we kept getting teased. There'd be a couple names catch a little rotation flow, and then boom, right back into the software names and everything else. Okay. You don't want to be too early, especially if you can stick your neck out. You want to have them make you a believer. Okay, they're getting serious behind this rotation, right? There've been missiles here, there've been missiles here. They hit up 3 names in this group. They hit up 3 names in this group. That's what they do when they have confidence and they looking to lean in, especially rotation wise, lean into a couple groups. You're not just going to see isolated sweeps here and there. You're going to see, something at least similar to what we were seeing last year, where they hit one name in a group, then they look for the other name in the group, right? Then they look for, another name in a different sector that's been lagging. And each and every day, you have more and more, names to pick from, more ideas on the table. So that's what we want to see. But we are starting to see some signs of that. I don't want to jinx it, but that's what we're hoping for out of this. Okay. Otherwise, if we don't, we just, again, play quick. I overuse the word, but it's easier said than done, because, you fall in love with these names, right? And people come in trading the same names over and over and over again. And then, they size up, it reverses on their ass, and then they're scratching their head like, what changed today? What happened? It's like they reel you in. All right, so the reason I continuously repeat it myself is not only to drill it in your heads, but to drill it in my head as well. The more I talk, the more, it sticks in my brain at the same time. All right, so on that note, here's some of the action today. Okay, this FLT, a pair of adjectives to put behind it. One order was ridiculous. It was almost too good to be true how big it was to be clean. Then caught another nice size sweep, made calls yesterday, caught another one today. This name is legit. Come on now. You don't like the name? You wait for something you like. Okay? But this is where I pick and choose from on a day-to-day basis. The top bet list, the top action. I'm not just going to play names I like regardless of the action. I mean, that's just, I'm trading just off sweeper activity. So FLT, they hit it yesterday, had a rip yesterday, even for a pricey name. Some follow through today with that May bet. You don't want to necessarily chase here if you're not in it already, but if you do see some weakness, something to keep an eye on. Okay, and look at this thing. A beaten down, ugly name. This is a good looking stock off a pullback. All right, so that caught action today. Snap, I'm kind of interested in this longer term play in Snap, but not quite there yet. It leaps. They hit leaps, and then some smaller action in a couple of short data lines, cheap lines. But today, the big action was in leaps. You can see had a nice little move off this niner already. So we're a bit late to the party. If you're buying leaps, you may not care, But I'm definitely interested in this. I'm definitely interested in this. It's definitely on my watch list. I've owned it in the past, and I wouldn't mind tucking away this name off the right action for some. All right, but definitely off the leap action today should be added to all our watch lists, no matter what. It's kind of a slow mover to be tactical in, so that's tough. It's more of, you want to tuck it away for a bit, right? You can't be too quick with Snap. Doesn't really do too much for that. But big time leap action. And the other name is a retail name that's on this list that I'm not as excited about, but we'll see. Maybe they keep, this action here, decent size. I don't know, IV was down. This is post earnings. Could be why it was a little sloppy. But this is Levi's. Maybe because it's Levi's, I can't get excited about it. But anyway, not bad action. Stock looking better. Been chopping around, consolidating here. Something, another name on. And this is going to be a tough one here. Where is it? The Nucor. Okay, steel has been one of the worst sectors next to chemicals, right? But similar to the MPC and energy, if you're going to play steel, this is probably the name to look at. Right, the best name to look at. All right, this type of flow, though, that we saw in Nucor today, they're just playing oversold bounce. Could be even shorts concerned about overdue rotation, and they're protecting and guarding against the bounce. Okay, when you're looking to trade these things, it's the same premise. You know, if it's spec type bounce flow, I mean, that's all you're looking for out of the name anyway. All right. They're going to need to convince me, like, I want to see more action than what we saw today. You may like the name already. It's just a preference thing. But, you know, if it starts to heat up, maybe something I'm interested in, you know, playing for a squeeze. Yeah, we saw, there's been a couple of, you know, nice quick squeezes out there. It may not be all in names that you guys like, as far as like names that are really liquid on the option side and stuff like that. But we had like that REAL, right? Cheaper stock, you know, off the highs today. Good earnings coming up, but, you know, a little squeeze there, tactical play. The URI, which you guys know I love that name, and seems to catch nice action. A little pop today or off of yesterday's sweep. So there's stuff out there to be quick on. The goose, which I kind of effed up today, I wanted to get in there at some point, and she kind of ran away from me off the open. You know, these things, look at this. Yeah, hammered and just a bounce. All right, and goose had some put selling, also a small sweep, but had some put selling there trying to carve out a bottom. All right, see, I would a name like goose, like it's one or the other. You don't want to get caught in between. You want to kind of just play for this, right? Or a little more than that and get the hell out, right? The wise guy activity was tipping you off to a shift in momentum and a squeeze, and that's your short-term trade, okay? Or they start to really lean into this thing and position down here, right? And basically just nail out a bottom themselves, and then, you know, you got a stronger play with some time, that sort of thing. Okay, those stronger plays, unless it's a name you've been eyeing and love the spot, you know, when they're ugly like this, for me, I want to be convinced. You know, like it's a lot of times like I'll ignore the initial batch of the activity that comes in names like this, and then it's too much to ignore. I have to buy it. You know, so that's the sort of flow I'm looking for in beating up names like this where there's been a lot of selling, because they're tough. You know, it's that in-between move is tough. You get these little squeezes, right? If you can nail decent entries, you get these little squeezes, but the in-between move is the toughest one, you know? So if you get sharp enough flow, then you're playing for something bigger, you know what I mean, with some time. But you don't want to get caught in between. All right, so that's kind of some of the newer stuff out there to keep an eye on. I was hoping like these semis would go into, and maybe they still do, who knows, but go into a little breather. You know, they've been consolidating nicely, and there's nothing better than the semi setting. And then this thing pops out today, you know? Frustrating. Because the semis have been hotter than a pistol. And because of this coronavirus, maybe you get a little consolidation here where there's some lower highs, that sort of thing. And then we all know how they can hit semis, right, when they want them. You're talking about multi-million-dollar sweeps, and then play for, you know, another leg higher. But today they busted it out today to piss me off. All right, so we have a lot of things to keep an eye on. I just, on a risk, I don't see sticking our necks out in anything that looks good. It's the ugly stuff that presents the best risk reward out there, and it's too early. That's the problem. You know, we don't want to be too early, even with time, right? We don't want to be too early. Like, meaning too early that, you know, you get caught in these economically sensitive names or these commodity names, and, you know, this China situation takes a turn for the worse. That's a bad situation. So we want the sweeper activity to tell us, all right, they're buying the shit out of this stuff. They don't think there's any shot, you know, of these things making new lows. They've been beaten up enough, and they're buying the daylights out of them, calling bottom. That's what we want to see. Yeah, exactly, John. We just want to get in the middle of momentum. That's the best way to put it. We want to get in the middle of momentum, try to make some money till something juicier sets up. You know, until something juicier sets up. All right. And here's what I wanted to show you. So on the swing side, okay, if you're saying, oh, this is too quick, you know, this is not something, I'm not in front of my screen all day, or I work, I do something else. Those are legitimate reasons. You shouldn't be trading outside your box, right? That you feel comfortable in, that you have the time to, and shit like that. So what you should be looking for on swing trades, right? You got to be more selective, and you got to wait for this to line up again or get close, okay? And you want to be a buyer here, right? That's the whole point. You don't want to be a buyer up here on the swing side. That's the point I'm trying to make. So we get, you know, bulls get punched in the jaw a little bit, right? The market kind of rattled. This thing with the headlines out there in no time. You saw what happened. Boom, right down here again. And then you can look, you know, for some names maybe you could swing over the next week or so, where you don't have to be glued to the freaking screen and make sure you get, you know, get your exit and get out. You just up here, you know, based off my experience, you don't want to get caught with swings up here. You know, even the rotation names, because the likelihood is maybe the indices, even if they don't pull back, they get choppy. And, you know, just, again, the risk reward, that's the best way to frame it. The risk reward is just not juicy enough. All right, so that's what I wanted to make sure especially those of you who are members, I want to hear some of the unusual activity today. You could see the type of names. We're still dealing with earnings, right? We're still dealing with earnings, even though some of the bigger guys have already reported. You know, and we're coming off, you know, a nice little snapback rally with some juicy moves in a lot of names that you guys like to play. The money's been made there, right? The money's been made there. So now they probably need to take some sloppy bull, or if they have another leg in them. Probably. I draw some weird things on here, Ryan. I think that's my subconscious that gets the best of me. You know? A lot of porn, for some reason, comes out of my highlighter without even me trying to do it. Pretty weird. All right, anybody have any questions on the playbook at all, especially those of you who are members out there? You know, another thing we had, the put to call has been pretty futile because of the chase of this rally, but you had an equity put to call with a 4 handle. And you had a lot of things that was showing bulls were getting sloppy in a lot of names. So it needed to cool off a bit. It needed to cool off. Who? Oh, you're talking baseball. I thought you were talking here. What about this thing? Anybody catch this thing? I know like MW in the room caught a nice move on it. Ace Jam, I call it. What a monster. Honestly, every line of action and the quarter line of action a day. I really didn't, I'm being honest, I didn't strongly consider buying any of them. There was one line that I was thinking about putting away, the leaps. I was saying, this is one of those names maybe you forget about with some time, right? You never know what happens. People get obsessed with this space crap all of a sudden, kind of like the week or everything else, and they come right into this. And, lo and behold, look at this. Post IPO buying too, guys. When we see that, yeah, I remember it was like 6 and change. It's 22 now. Insanity. Obviously, I didn't think anything remotely close to this was happening. Yep. Those of you, I see some of you asking about sentiment now. We'll see when it updates tonight. Okay, I don't know how much damage the fade did. Maybe a little bit. Did cool off the squeezometer a little bit. Just a little bit, not much. And the other thing is you got gamma. Where'd it close? 1.3 billion still up there. Capped out today at 1.5. It's not today. That's basically where SPX hit its head on the roof. All right, that's exactly close to where the market topped out today. Hold on. So here, right, for those of you who play intraday, again, not even this short, just if you're long and playing markets, whatever the case, we had that strong rally off the open, right? Some nice flow behind it, really nice momentum and juice. Okay, then you get a niner. The squeezometer, what did it flash? 66, I think it was, into the highs. Okay, and gamma, like I just mentioned, hitting its head on the roof, 1.5, 1.6 billion. So all that, doesn't make sense to get long there, right? And those are the things you want to take away. Not everything's got to equate to making money. A lot of stuff just saves you money. It gets you playing with a little discipline, playing smart, and you save yourself some money. That's just as good sometimes. Yeah, so because the short trades are hard. Even when you're right on these shorts, they make them so damn difficult. It's so tough, man. So tough. So I can't blame anybody for not shorting out there. Yeah. You got a rigged game, Yosty, right now. The game is rigged. The game is rigged. So tough. So, and don't think the market's not going to try to reel in shorts just because it's rigged. People automatically assume that the market's just going to go up every day. And there'll never be a bear reeled in. How do you think that this snapback we just experienced here, how do you back so quick? This one. We went from China on lockdown, the coronavirus is going to turn everybody into a zombie, right? And then all of a sudden you blinked and boom, you're right back at new highs again. Because Bears found an opportunity again, right? The game's rigged. The game's rigged. But the game being rigged all of a sudden, and they're shorting into this. And you know, once they got them there, they know what to do with them. They squeeze them. Whoop. If you short, that's what's disgusting about it, Yosti. If you got short here, you were right. You just didn't. You lost the money. And that's a perfect, you know, that's a perfect lesson in this market, that you could be right and still lose money. Doesn't matter. You know, whoever shorted into this was right. They got, market was closed. You had absolute mayhem there. You had a major economy go into lockdown, right? Fear, panic, you name it. Okay, but one factor entered the picture that nobody really thought was coming. The PBOC throw, right? What they do Sunday evening, we're gonna put the liquidity into the banks, into the market. You can't short any margin. You can't sell. No margin calls. Mutual funds, you can't sell unless it's a redemption. They rig the market. They rig the market. So, yeah. Not a perfect point right there, you know. If that doesn't teach you a lesson of how difficult it is on the short side, I don't know what will. But yeah, you were right and you lost money. That's tough. What's Ani saying? Gamma went even though they thought they bought the dip in. Yeah, right? It happened so quick too, Ani. It happened overnight, the weakness, right? So didn't even get, retail couldn't even get their hands on it. Gamma flip, right? Little follow through, and then you had sentiment all set up for a turn. Everything was basically set up for a turn. Inverse ETF buying, right? We saw spikeage, all the things we look for where they usually find a place to squeeze them. They were all there in the snap of a finger. So quick. Yeah, and that's the thing. Maybe, that's why I think, Ani, too, that, even we were talking about this Sunday night. Even if you didn't catch a swing, which I kind of got screwed, we spoke about that, right, on the swing trades here. There was some nice juice even intraday here. You had some really nice movers to make some money off this squeeze. Just getting in and momentum and getting out. There was a lot of momentum out there. So maybe that's why here now, especially with shorter term sentiment on the hotter side, I'm stressing, to you guys to be a lot more careful. Because you get one pullback, you get from the market, and it's going to cool off a lot of that short term sentiment anyway. And you hit the nail on the head the other day, staying quick, staying tactical right now, and it's something you got to learn in this game. You can't be greedy. You know what I mean? You can't catch a big winner and look to catch big winners all the time. The market's not set up every single day, right? The environment's not set up for you to catch an outsized winner all the time. Game doesn't work like that. So you either have to be able to adjust, like we're discussing here, size down, play quicker, right? Look for the quick profit, get out. It's almost like you're looking to survive those times and make a little bit of money for when things set up for those outsized gains, right? So you're hanging around, you're staying involved, you have your eyes on the game, you're paying attention, okay? You're just not going to get lumped up in the process. You make a little bit of money. You're not going to retire off playing tactical. It's not going to happen, okay? But you're hanging around for that better setup when she shows up, and that's where you can lean into something and give it a longer leash. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Right? It's like you're keeping yourself busy. And, you know, a lot of times on the webinars, you know, usually the weekend webinar I used to have open the whole social media, I'd be like, a lot of people be like, just go on vacation, or, you know, you think you just for 2 weeks and you come back and it's like you didn't miss a beat. You know everything that went on. I miss a day of the market, right? Where I'm not watching flow of sentiment. I'm lost in space. And you don't want to do that. In this game, you're going to find success in this game. You have to find the discipline and the ability to hang around and find something to do while paying attention to your signals and wait for that better setup. You have to. There's no way around it. You're not going to go on vacation for 3 months, come back for 2 weeks, nail a big winner, go months, come back, nail a big winner. I mean, come on, right? People are in fantasy land. They're in fantasy land. That's the truth, Ani. You know, making the money is not a problem. Onto it. You're 100% right. 100% right. It's the truth. But you all bring up great points, because that's kind of where we're at right now. You know, there's still some money to be made out there, right? You can still have some fun. You can still, you can still be involved in this game. I mean, for crying out loud, it's not like we're in a bear market. You know, things are just overheated a little too much on the bullish side, to where you want a better setup out there for that nice size winner. Yeah, without a doubt. I agree with that, John. John saying be indifferent to the money and you find you do a lot better, without a doubt. When you start worrying about how much money you're going to make, that's usually when they hit you over the head, right? You try not to lose. That's the better game plan. Try not to lose your money. You know, forget about how much money you're going to make. Worry about what the hell you're risking. Without a doubt. But and then you get one thing about this game is you get a lot of the answers to your, to the questions you have. It's all a matter of, whether you take action you're supposed to take and find the discipline, to do it on a consistent basis. And that's why I try to share with you guys, just some key things that I've learned that have allowed me to stay in the game long enough to learn the things I needed to learn to make money. Like I told, some things were so blatant early on, right? Like you look back on them, they were so blatant, like so obvious. But if I was to tell you how many people I've seen and still see do these things and get knocked out of the game, you believe it. And they know, like we're talking here, right, about how shorting's difficult. And I can promise you there's going to be a ton of retail traders who get knocked out of this game by trying to catch an oversized short. Guaranteed. And they know it's tough, right? They know it's difficult. They know the game is rigged, like we spoke about, but it will still knock them out of this game. Who are you going to blame? Right? Who are you going to blame? So that's why, you get like these wise asses on, trolls on Twitter and stuff like that, calling me perma bull and I don't short. That saved me. The two things I learned early on in my career: do not short, especially in bull markets, and do not trade on margin. And you'll be around long enough to learn enough things to hang around in this game. Those two things I said to myself early on while I'm watching people blow up, doing it right in front of my face. Those two main things. You'll likely be around the game long enough to learn, like I said, enough things to keep. But people want to try to make that score, People want to. Anyway, what else? Any other names you guys are looking before we wrap it up here? Anybody eyeing any names, or maybe some earnings weakness? Anybody have any names like that? Or yeah, LK is a little tricky. You got to try to buy dips on this thing, and then you got to dodge like muddy water tweets and stuff like that, But a name like this, I'd be careful chasing green. I'd wait for a pullback, like see where it is here. I wouldn't chase that. If you like it, I don't know if you're looking for a trade or even something further out, but for example, you get some weakness and you see some sweeper activity into that weakness because this thing can catch action. One, you could play for this snapback rally. If you're looking for more, that's your call. Yeah, she's fast. She's fast. She's fast. The big money was made, obviously, here. You guys know that. You don't need me to tell you that. This is where the whole explosion, flow, the whole shebang happened, right? And, now it's just working that off. You just don't know how long this process takes. It was a big move. But I would, if it's a name you're interested, I would focus on looking to buy weakness in the name. That's what I would do. Roku. No, the problem with Roku is you have earnings, C-Train. So, we talked about how you had low gamma there, might be worth a shot if you're going to play earnings. Low gamma could work both ways though. Could work to the downside as well. So you got to take that into account. But I really don't have, I don't have much. You know me, C-Train. I don't have much of a feeling at all on this name going into earnings. Not much of a feeling at all. I mean, I like that it's been breathing, right? That's a plus. Well, give me the number and the guidance. You get a good number, you get good guidance, you're going to get a big move. That's not always the case, right? If a name's extended, but you get a decent number here, and you're likely going to get a nice move. So it might be worth a shot if you like the name, C-Train. Is it safe to play Beyond for earnings? One, I don't even know. I'm still trying to figure out when Beyond has earnings. I have no idea. When's Beyond earnings? I don't think anybody knows for sure. Anybody have a Beyond earnings date? I don't think it exists. Not confirmed, right? So, I can't even pretend to answer that question, Ram, because I don't even know when earnings are. I really don't. Let me ask you a question. Can this end up being a situation where you don't even know earnings are coming out and they have to give a heads up a couple days? Because that would be a nightmare. Oh, that would be a nightmare. I saw the 22nd, Yosti. I saw the 24th. I saw a date that passed already. I thought Beyond had earnings already. But everyone's telling me not confirmed. Ani says he sees 210 on FinViz. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So be careful if you're swinging this thing, because, I mean, it could go either way, but you may box down 30 and you had no idea. Or up 30, but you're in the hands of the earnings gods. Well, what other names are you guys looking at? You know, Peloton. That looks interesting to me. Mention that. Which one, Cash? Peloton? Cash, good enough for me to swing. What name are you talking about? So, you know, the Peloton, I like the spot. Because again, for our playbook, you know, for the squeeze, which kind of happened, if you're looking for that quick squeeze, you had a nice spot. And, you know, bottom of the range here, if you're looking even for a move like this off the earnings pull. So if you're in Peloton and still in Peloton, you know, even if you lose money, at least you had the right spot there. You know, at least you had the right spot. Yeah, I agree, John. You know, I agree 100%. That's why I've been taking a lot of them. And if I don't get the quick move, I've been selling it, you know, for a scratch or a small loss. And if it goes after I get out of it, what are you going to do? It's happened a lot of times throughout my career. But I'm looking for the quick move, like you mentioned. This work, that was a beauty, no? You know, I didn't even catch anywhere near half this move in work. But it did a job. You know, this flow exploded here. Flow exploded. You know, but up here now with these things, you know, they hatched. You know, now you gotta be a little careful here. You know, if you're gonna day trade them, like we were talking about, let's say you get a pull tomorrow and they buy that pull, you know, that's a day trade in my opinion. I wouldn't swing an entry from here now. You know, down here, you know, we were talking off that good looking action that came in initially before the steam. It was worth a shot if you were interested, you know, but up here, you're late. You're late. You know, so it could still be day traded off weakness, but that's the extent of it for me anyway. Amazon Niner, I saw that. There's Niners. Look at that. They popped up. See that? Right when sentiment heats up. Isn't that crazy? Right when short-term sentiment starts to heat up, you start seeing these Niners in these hot names. Let's see, you guys threw out some other names. Take Two, I already bought some. And, you know, if it hangs out down here, obviously I got a ton of time, you know. I like Take Two. I just like the name. You know, I like the name. So I bought some of those leaps. And we'll see. If it goes without me, you know, if it goes without me building a position, you know, we'll see what I'll do. I might even sell it and hope it stays down here and I can rebuy it, you know. But I only put on, I only started a position there, basically. I don't have a full position. But yeah, I like the name, you know. Even if it stays down here, I like the name, especially if they keep coming back for it. I'll add. I just got an email from Beyond Investor Relations, earnings late February. They will announce a couple of weeks ahead. Okay, that's better. That's better. At least you don't get caught up. You bought some of the leaps too, C-Train? Take two? Yeah. Honestly, if it stays down here, find it, because I definitely want, I have the intentions of adding. I just want to be patient. Must be great news on the Beyond. They're sneaking it in there, Nick. They're trying to weasel it in. A CRWD. This one got away from me. I didn't even get my hands on this freaking thing. I remember the flow well because I was looking to make a play on it. Caught that sneaky sweeper right before the close one day. That's what caught our eye, if you remember. And then the next day, sweepers came in again. The stock was up. I didn't want to chase, and that was it. Kind of got away from me. Got away from me. Worried about, was it a play on somebody else's earnings in the group? We were trying to figure out that old shit. Excuse my French. But yeah, they caught an upgrade today. They caught an upgrade. Again, I personally, for swing trading purposes, if you're looking to swing stuff, I wouldn't chase into this. Weakness on pulls. Because you got to understand something. We got the Fed on our sides, right? The Fed is leaving the faucet running right now, okay? So what we want to do, we want to use that to our advantage by taking advantage of weakness, right? So intraday stuff, right? Sweeper activity into stuff off a pullback. That's the stuff we want to look for, right? Swing trades, same premise. You just obviously you're not looking to sell it that day, but you want off some sort of weakness or consolidation. All right, because with the Fed and Gamma where it is, basically the takeaway is dips are going to get bought. Buying is in full effect. That's our basic. That's the takeaway from what we're in right now. Okay, so it doesn't mean the market can't pull back after rallying like this, right? We could get a little pullback here like this, but we see some good-looking action. We want to be buyers. We want to be buyers. That's the main takeaway, and that's why this rotation trade looks interesting. It's if we get enough flow, though. If we get enough, because these names, all these names that they can rotate into, you have a lot of names that are set up. They're already set up. You don't have to wait for pullbacks. Like this MPC been rallying. This thing is laying dead on the concrete floor. Off a niner. That sort of thing. Right? These names, right? URI, bounce off a niner. Here's your little breather, and there's your sweep. Ideal. The other garbage, this is just more of a squeeze, but we may see more of these, especially post earnings, right? This real, here's your super cyan blue off a niner, right? This pig catches sweeper activity. That's our heads up that there may be a shift in momentum. It's just a matter of how much momentum, right? That's the $1 million question. But for me, again, looking at it through risk-reward lenses, that's my bread and butter, right? If I don't see momentum, I'm getting the hell out, right? The sweeper activity that comes into this pig is telling me I should see momentum sooner than later, not 6 months from now. So if I don't see that squeeze happen over the short term, I get out and I move on, whether it's up a little, down a little, whatever the case. So that's the stuff I feel most comfortable trading. This stuff here, like this, I'm lost in space up here. I'm lost in space. How do you know when this thing's going to breathe? All right, now you got a niner here. It's a beast too. You guys see this name? Not to go completely off topic, this semiconductor, ASML. You got a lot of big movers out there, man. A lot of big movers. Look at this guy. Kind of like an under the radar semiconductor that nobody talks about. You never hear this name mentioned. Right? It's an overseas name. I think it's like Netherlands or something. Look at this. This is the stuff I like. I'm never in them long enough to catch these moves, these big moves I'm showing you. But that's the stuff that gets me excited. Right? That GDS, that China. Look at this thing. Another niner here ran into. 9 straight days of up. Look at this. All right? Nobody knows this thing. Oh, it's catching 6-figure sweeps. Bova started coverage on it with a screaming buy. And now all of a sudden, $40 piece of paper is up over 60. Just like that. All right, Billy. I like this stuff. Now, and there's a list of software names from here to Australia. Right, that RNG was one of the best. Wow, I didn't know that. Would it gap up on earnings today? Holy shit. Do you guys remember this? Those of you who were in the steam room last year, you remember this RNG? Do you know where we own this thing? We owned it over here somewhere. Under 100. I can't believe it. Under 100, C-Train. It hit 230 today. Wow. CGC, I don't follow the weed names too much. I'm not. You have earnings, don't you? Oh, maybe not. Oh, you have earnings there. I don't know, JD. I don't really fool with these. There's too many riffraff eyeballs on these things. You got too much riffraff money in this stuff. And this name has 2 updates in a row. You got the riffraff club doing cartwheels. AAP, that's an interesting name. That's a Melvin name. I'm going to look at this thing dead after earnings. June's, right? You're looking at? This definitely interests me. This is a rotation name. Right? This is the auto sector where China on lockdown can create a problem. The trade war creates a problem, but this is where the big money is made with time, man. And that's why Melvin, that's who's probably sweeping it dead, Melvin. Melvin gobbles up these things into blood with time. 5% stake. Wow. Wow. So it's a timing thing. That's all it is, Dad. I'm going to look. Now, if you really like the name, you probably got to put on a starter position before earnings, because if it pops off earnings, you're going to be sick. You got to put on a starter before earnings and then look to add post earnings. Honestly, without earnings in the way, you probably would start it here anyway. You got June's, and he'll roll out too. He don't mind rolling out. He did that with the PAGs, if you remember. Remember the PAGs he bought the living daylights out of into blood? He was early on that too. Back here, look at this. So, Dad, I don't know if you remember this name, PAGs. We all tailed Melvin into this. If I'm not mistaken, it was around here somewhere. Could have been maybe up here. I don't know. But anyway, it continued lower. He continued to gobble it up. You lost the money shorter dated, right? See what I mean with these? That's why these guys, they got money and they don't mind that they're paying. And, then the rally, and then they just keep rolling out and rolling out and rolling out, until they catch that big move. And then they dump the whole shebang. So he was early here, but look what ended up happening, right? You want to be early. These guys, they can't buy what they want unless they're early. You know that. They want to be early. But I like this type of stuff too, because that's the only time I end up cashing a big ticket on a swing is if I have enough time and I'm early. That's the only time. Otherwise, I'm always selling it when they move too quick. Yeah. And Dad, it's, it sounds easy, right? Almost too good to be true. There are a lot of players out there that make a ton of money doing it. Look at Bill Miller. Did you see the year he had last year, Dad? Did you see the year Bill Miller had? Oh my God. Go take a peek. He bought the home builders when nobody wanted them. Every name that at the time, if someone put a gun to your head, you couldn't buy it, he bought. And gobbled them up and kept buying them as long as they were still down there. And if I'm not mistaken, he crazy last year. And you're talking about a big fund. Crazy. He was up like 90% or something ridiculous. Yeah, it was crazy. Gilead is the one name I can't get myself to buy blood. I can't do it. The Widowmaker, we call it. But listen, there's flow there. They've been buying the name. And if you like it, earnings are out of the picture. And same thing. I would just say, buy weakness. Don't chase big up days. Don't buy the stock when it's up 3, because then when it breeds the next day down 2, do yourself or you get shaken out of it. So actually, this is not, if you're not in it already, this is what you wanted to see on Gilead, a little breather here. So you look to buy it. But I'll put the little asterisk disclaimer there. Gilead has the nickname the Widowmaker for a reason. For a reason. The stock's trading at like a 5 PE for the last 5 years. People have been trying to buy dips in this thing for a long time and can't make sense out of why this thing, John, nobody can make sense out of how this thing is so ugly, because fundamentally it's legit. It's not some pig. The only thing people could really equate it to is this. You had such a big move in this thing. I remember it was like the most talked about ticker on stock twits for like a 3-year stretch. There was an article on it. Now, for good reason. Look at this. All right? 15 to 124. and then just went dead. Dead. If you take a step back, right, and these are years we're talking about, you had a huge move, right? Correction. You never know. Maybe it starts doing this. What did it do? May retrace maybe 50%. Totally normal. I'm trying to Gilead. I'm going to blame you, John. I'm going to send you a bill when I lose my money. All right, guys. So that's the moral of the story here. Okay. We want to try to use weakness to our advantage, right? Be careful on here at least until some of the short-term sentiment cools off. All right. We want to take advantage of gamma and all the forces at play. You know, we want to buy dips and we got to be patient and wait for it. That's all. In the meantime, we'll try to get in the middle of some momentum, squeeze out some money here and there. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by. All right, I'll see the rest of you mañana. Enjoy the night.